Okay, welcome back. Marcus Paul in the morning. It's Wednesday. We're filming this next piece, of course, for our YouTube channel. Please give us a follow there, a subscribe on YouTube, Marcus Paul in the morning. Look, one issue that is of contention at the moment, my regular followers will know that I fully supported the government's vaccine mandates when they first came out. The longer they went on, I started to get a little bit wobbly on some of the restrictions that were in place. One thing that I'm very adamant about right now, though, is the fact that we still have unvaccinated teachers on full pay sitting at home despite the jab mandates actually ending. And there was a story yesterday that caught my attention that I wanted to talk about this morning on the program and get your thoughts on as well. School vaccine mandates, as I mentioned, expired last month, but unjabbed teachers are still banned from going to work, with hundreds told to stay home while getting full pay. Don't we have a teacher shortage out there in New South Wales? Unvaccinated teachers are being paid their full salary to sit at home on gardening leave, despite staff shortages plaguing our public schools. It's revealed hundreds of teachers have been told they must undertake, quote, alternative duties from home while waiting for the Education Department to decide whether to allow unvaccinated teachers to come back to school. Teachers subject to the, quote, alternative duties directive, backdated to May 13, when public health orders mandated vaccination expired, of course, are being paid their normal salary despite not being required to do their normal work. Not bad. You will not be expected to undertake work during this time. That's according to an Education Department email that's been seen by media. Despite public health orders mandating vaccination for school teachers expiring in May of this year, the Education Department is still requiring teachers to be double jabbed to come to work. We're not talking about the third or fourth injection, we're talking about the original double jabbed. Now, there was a poll yesterday on News Corp. It was a simple question. Should unvaccinated teachers still be getting paid for not working? I think that's the wrong question, but I'll get to that in a moment. 74% say no. I'm one of the 74%. But I'll validate that. 26% believe yes, they should be. My point is, it's not the fact that these teachers are getting paid, it's the fact that they're getting paid to stay home. I believe they should already be back in our classrooms. We have a 90-odd%, well, I can't remember what the current vaccination rate is. I'd need to look it up again. But, I mean, the vaccination rates are such that if we have some teachers not fully vaccinated and the mandate's ended, well, they should be back in the bloody classroom, shouldn't they? Bureaucrats are working through a, quote, risk assessment. There we go. Yeah. Always a good way to validate a bureaucrat's job. Anyway, the risk assessment will be about whether to allow unvaccinated staff back into the classroom. The Premier, Dominic Perrottet, said he expects his department and Treasury to finalise the risk assessments shortly. Okay, I forgot that we have so much money in the New South Wales Treasury that we can just pay people to sit on their backsides. The Premier said yesterday, I've made it very clear that we are ending vaccine mandates. I appreciate that particularly with health and education, there are some complex areas that they are working through. Get a set. Send the teachers back to the classrooms. I mean, I know he's got an election coming up next year, you know, and he's offering all of these wonderful sweeteners in the newspaper and getting all the goodies out there to get a good brand and a good name for Team Perrottet and the New South Wales government. But I'm sorry, you're going to lose votes on this if you continue to dilly-dally. Anyway, he said, the Education Department said yesterday, it's a health and safety requirement that we complete a risk-based assessment of our workplaces and consult with staff on COVID-19 safety at schools. The reality is almost all staff did the right thing and got vaccinated. Well, the reality is that almost all of the entire state got vaccinated. We know there were always going to be either anti-vaxxers or people for a medical reason or whatever reason not to get vaccinated. That was always going to be the case. I thought we'd return to situation normal. I was completely and utterly shocked when I actually learnt that we, despite the mandates ending, that we were still keeping teachers at home on full pay. It's crazy. Anyway, alternative duties are determined on a case-by-case basis. Well, what does that mean? One teacher who spoke, obviously, remaining anonymous, had been told the risk assessment would not be completed until next term, which starts mid-July. The teacher said he was directed to just stay at home and look after himself until the department finishes its assessment. Damn it, I knew I should have been a teacher. The policy applies to teachers under investigation by the Professional and Ethical Standards Directorate for failing to comply with vaccination mandates, according to the email. Anyway, so I can go on and on about this, but at the end of the day, I cannot understand why these risk assessments weren't done in line with the date the mandate ended. Wouldn't that make at least not just common sense, but fiscal sense? One Nation MP, Mark Latham, he's been a staunch critic of the vaccination mandates for teachers. He says the policy just doesn't stack up, and I agree with him. He said yesterday it seems incredible that the government would be paying qualified teachers to stay at home in the middle of a teacher shortage crisis when so many students are without teachers. He said yesterday the mandate should end and these funded teachers should return to the classroom. No more gardening leave. It's hard to argue against that. And just for the record, the Education Minister, Sarah Mitchell, is yet to comment on this issue. But you can below in the comments, either on our Facebook page or, of course, on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Marcus Paul in the morning.